Did the Spartacus moment backfire? Tonight's panel to debate, radio host Ethan Behrman and Fox News contributor Guy Benson. Welcome to you both.
Hey, Shannon.
All right, guys, been covering the hearing. I spent most of my day trying to run down what Senator Booker knew and when he knew it. So here is something that he said. We're told by the Senate committee staffers, and you heard there from the chairman himself, that by 4 a.m. this morning, they knew, several senators, including Booker, were told these things are released for public consumption, meaning you wouldn't be in danger of getting kicked out of the Senate. But here's what Cory Booker said, allegedly knowing that.
I will say that I did willingly violate the chair's rule on the committee confidential process. I take full responsibility for violating that, sir. And I violate it because I sincerely believe that the public deserves to know this nominee's record.
Ethan, neither he nor his staff would directly answer to me what he knew when. So what do you make of it?
Well, obviously, with the Senate, there's a bunch of theatrics that happen in the world of politics. And I think he played it to his advantage, although with some of this information, it may not be as much to his advantage. However, I will say this, I think it's really important that the American people get access to some of the documents that Senator Booker is releasing. It's very important that we understand. And the point behind this is to know what Judge Kavanaugh was saying in the Bush White House to President Bush and the other attorneys that were there. So we have a fuller view than just his judicial ruling.
Let me bring in Guy. Was the point for us to know more about what Kavanaugh was discussing and thinking while he was in the Bush White House? Was that the point of what Cory Booker did this morning?
No, of course not. This was a pre-planned stunt by Cory Booker, as evidenced by the fact that he went forward with this preposterous show of self-martyrdom of, oh, look at me. Look, everyone, I'm breaking the rules. Have I mentioned I've broken the rules? You're declining that I've broken the rules? Let me break them again. He's obviously positioning himself for future office. He's playing to a certain constituency for approval and for dollars, campaign dollars. And he was also among the Democrats who announced that they were opposed to Judge Kavanaugh on the very first day that he was named the nominee. So all this other noise, I'm sympathetic to some of the arguments if they were made in good faith, but from people like Cory Booker, they absolutely were not. They're not interested in any more facts about Judge Kavanaugh. They're interested in getting themselves elected president. And Kavanaugh, to the chairman's point, Chairman Grassley's point, he's been on the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, a hugely important and influential court, for 12 years. And before that, he was confirmed after working in the Bush White House, 57 votes in the Senate, confirmed to that position. The most important body of work is what he did on the bench. That is what should have been the focus of the Democrats' scrutiny, and in many cases, it was not.
It has been in part, but I want to read something from the New York Times today, to your point, saying the Democrats grilling Kavanaugh have their eyes on 2020. Saying these hearings, no time like a stately national televised Supreme Court nomination hearing to grab media attention and amass valuable footage for future campaign commercials. But for Ms. Harris and Mr. Booker, and to a lesser extent Ms. Klobuchar, who is less given to high drama, the hearings have been something like a campaign audition. Ethan, is that fair?
I think that this demeans kind of what is happening here. Why are the Democrats so against Judge Kavanaugh? I think it's a very important time for the Supreme Court. He is the swing vote replacing Justice Kennedy. And in this case specifically, we're talking about things like LGBTQ rights, the 1964 Civil Rights Act. Do we expand gender to include gender orientation? Kennedy ruled one way and held the court a certain way. Kavanaugh appears to be leading another. Abortion is obviously a big one. Roe and Casey, you just had Senator Sass on. There are major issues that this court is about to change with Judge Kavanaugh, and it reminds me of the Lochner era, and I don't want to go back to that time, and it sure feels like that's where we're heading when the Federalist Society wants another originalist judge to be on the Supreme Court and change the lay of the land.
Guy, an originalist judge.
Hey, I'd like 2 or 3 more of them, frankly, after this, Justice. But look, you actually, in your conversation with Senator Sass, Shannon, were talking about that accusation that Judge Kavanaugh perjured himself from that website Above the Law. The former editor of that website went on Twitter today and systematically, meticulously debunked that ridiculous claim with context and fair-minded analysis. The Democrats and the left have nothing on Brett Kavanaugh, which is why we saw the showboating and the shrieking from the protesters, because there's no substance to get him on.
All right, speaking of the shrieking protesters, we've watched as dozens of them have been carted off every single day. I just want to know, do you guys think anyone stands up tomorrow and says, I am Spartacus? Does that happen in the hearing? Because we've heard just about everything else from these protesters.
Someone should. That'd be a great troll.
We'll see. All right, Guy and Ethan, thank you very much for your time tonight.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Shannon.
Shannon.
All right, late breaking news tonight on Second.